next speaker. Just let me know when you're back, and we can switch to the next speaker.
We're done.
Okay.
Yeah, we're done.
Well, so then welcome back, teenagers, and welcome, Katrina, to this event. We are happy to give you the stage for the next 20 minutes. And you were here already before, so you know about what we were talking about. Feel free to fill the 15 or 20 minutes the way you think it's appropriate for the teenager. Give your wisdom, share whatever you think it's relevant for them, for us, for you, for the world.
Okay, thank you so much. And I just wanted to check if you can hear me clearly. Okay, so I told Michelle that I have like a short presentation. It's not really a presentation. It's more of like a set of photos that I wanted to complement what I'm going to share for this evening. But first, I would like to introduce myself. So hello, everyone. My name is Katrina, and I'm currently in Belgium, but originally I'm from the Philippines. And I'm based in Belgium because I'm pursuing an advanced master's degree in cultural anthropology and development studies. When Marcelo asked me if I would be interested to talk about my story or my passion and my learnings to a group of teenagers, I was very ecstatic. I was very excited because prior to going to grad school 2 years ago, I was actually part of this organization called Catalyst in the Philippines. And what we've been doing is that every weekend we would go to different communities. Like most of the time it's in far-flung communities. And then we would host and organize like free workshops, leadership trainings to underprivileged youth leaders. So it's really interesting to work with youth because I know that you have so much energy, you have so much ideas, and I think you're going to shape the future of the world. So what I wanted to share today is a story on how I ended starting this organization, Catalyst, and also the things I have learned along the way. So I'm gonna share like a set of photos, like I said. Just let me show you. So let me check. Okay. So this is my family. Like I said, I'm from the Philippines. I grew up in a small town called San Jose. It's in the western part of the country, and it's an hour of flight away from Manila, but you also have to take multiple buses to reach my town. Our family is very simple. So my mom is a housewife. My dad is a government employee. And I'm the eldest, so I'm the one with the medals. And that's my younger sister. So we're a very simple family. And when I was a young girl, my mom would describe me as someone who likes to take risk and dream big, I guess. And one of my first dreams when I was growing up is to leave our small town and to make a name for myself, to discover what I wanted. And when I was 12 years old, I left our house. It's because I was going to go to a boarding school, which is a few hours away from our house, and I can only go home like once in a few months. And I would say it was really, really difficult being a 12-year-old kid who doesn't know how to cook for herself, who doesn't, who's not very independent. But at the same time, looking back at those difficulties when I was a teenager, it really shapes me on who I became to be today. And that is someone who is independent, that is someone who's willing to go out of her comfort zone, and someone who's willing to do everything to make her dreams come true. And I'm not sure about everyone else, but I clearly remember that after I finished high school, I have no idea what I wanted to do in life. Like I heard some people would say that they wanted to be a doctor, they wanted to be an astronaut or whatever. Like for me, I just don't have any idea at all. But as any Asian teenager, I just really wanted to make my parents proud. And so I took up chemical engineering as my degree in college. I'm not sure, but in the Philippines or maybe in other Asian countries, studies, you will only be considered successful if you're a professional. A professional is someone who's either an engineer, a doctor, an accountant, or a lawyer, or someone who holds a college degree and works in an office. So for me, that's why I decided to take up engineering, because I just really wanted to make my parents proud. I just wanted to be successful in that kind of a way. And I went to the University of the Philippines. I took up chemical engineering. And to make things short, I really hated it. And I have nothing against chemical engineering. I think it's a really good degree. But I think during my freshman year, I just really realized that it's not something for me, because when I was in high school, I was so naive. I'm excited about college life. I just wanted to go to the university. But then when I took my classes, when people started talking about the future, I just felt so lost. I just I felt so empty. That's what I would describe it. Like, people are so excited to share about being a doctor or whatever, and me, I'm like, I'll become an engineer in 5 years, and I'm not excited at all. I don't have any feelings for it. And during the summer after my freshman year, it was a very disastrous freshman year, I would say. I told my parents that I don't want to become an engineer, and if they could allow me to shift to another degree, just any degree, I don't care. I just don't want to become an engineer. I was thinking of maybe biology or communication or anything, just not an engineering degree. And they said no. I said I will not enroll if they will not allow me to shift. And they thought it was a joke. And on the summer of 2011, the year I turned 18, I decided to drop out of school. And it was my parents' worst nightmare, an Asian parents' worst nightmare. Like, they worked so hard to send me to school. They're really proud that I went to the university it's a really good school in the Philippines, and they were so proud of it. And I dropped out. And my parents were so mad that they did not talk to me for months, and we were staying in the same house. My relatives and friends were questioning, like, are you crazy? Like, what are you trying to accomplish doing this? My sister, she was like, are you sure this is your decision? Like, what's your plan? And honestly, I don't have any plans. And I remember my mom told me one day that, why can't you just be a normal teenager? I mean, a normal, obedient teenager, basically. That's what she meant. Like, someone who would just say yes and just study, just graduate, figure out what I wanted to do in life. But I can't, because I don't know. Like, I honestly couldn't believe how I mustered the courage to say no to my family, to everything, to tradition, basically, to an entire culture. But I said no. Like, I can't go back, like, doing something that I don't want. And during the first few months of this dropping out phase, I was figuring out what I wanted to do in life. It was very dark at the same time. I wouldn't lie that I would say that it was awesome for me, or it was an eye-opening experience and everything went smoothly. I was crying myself to sleep almost every night for a couple of months. I would ask myself repeatedly, like, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? And I don't know, like, I didn't find any answer at all during those times, but I decided to act on it. And what I mean by acting on it is I decided to read more books about people who found their passion. I decided to go online and talk to people who dropped out of college and figured out what I wanted to do. I read about Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and all the people who were deemed crazy at first and who started something. I also joined different, like, online classes on design, on making a company, just everything basically. Like, I'm not really specific on something. I also joined this competition. It's called the Thiel Fellowship. I didn't make it to the finals, but I made it to the couple of rounds, and I met so much amazing people who were doing something amazing, like starting a company, starting a science project. And after that, I told my parents, you know what, I can make a deal with you. I can go back to school, I will give you the grades that you want. I will give you really good grades. I will follow your rules, but just allow me to shift. Just give me a breathing room to find something that I want, and then I'll try to give you what you want." And they agreed to it. So I went back to school. Um, I went back to UP, and I really felt enlightened, I would say. Like, after a year, 1 year of having a gap year of learning new things, meeting new people. I even volunteered in some organizations. um, I miss that kind of circle, and in the university, I just didn't found that. So that's when I started this project. It's called Catalyst. So when I started this project, the idea behind it is very simple. I just want to be surrounded by people who wants to look for their passion, because during this time I also don't know what I wanted to do. I just wanted to do something and figure out what I want by doing all these things. And what our idea was to maybe go to communities and do these workshops. Um, at the same time, we were thinking of like organizing workshops within the organization itself. Like, the idea was not very clear at first, but I just want to be surrounded by passionate people. So I started this organization from nothing. I created like a very simple website, created a Facebook page, I created the logo, and then I just recruited people and volunteers, and then created some of the projects that we currently have. And one of those is the Catalyst project. So I know it's very cliche, Catalyst and Catalyst project, but during the time I just don't have any ideas at all. And I was thinking, okay, let's just create this project. Let's just go to communities. And then we created this module on leadership. So we wanted to organize like a workshop where where young people, like teenagers from 13 to 17 years old, would really think deeply of what they want, but at the same time, if they would be interested to create something within their community. So it's all about finding their dreams and their hopes, and just learning more about what they want. But at the same time, we want them to think about of the current problems that they have in their community, and maybe create a solution. So it's not really enforced. In some communities, they don't think they have a lot of problems. In some communities, they really think that they wanted to design the solution, for example. And this is one of the first projects one of the first communities that we met. These are all teenagers in their high school. And when we went there, we just learned so much. I would say that it is us who learned so much more than them, because we know that some of the things that we're doing were wrong. We have that mentality that when you go to a community from a good university, you're kind of imposing a new knowledge to someone, or you're kind of helping them. But what we don't know is they have so much local knowledge more than you as a workshop facilitator. And I think that's what shaped our next community projects. We tried to be very careful and sensitive to the communities that we visit, and try not to impose anything to them. This is also one of our communities that we're trying to visit. So this is the way to the community. It was a 3-hour hike, and we have to cross a bamboo bridge that you see on the photo. And this is the bridge itself, and we have to cross like 8 or 9 of them. And it was a 2-3 hour hike, and we do it every weekend. And after that, we kept on doing it every week and every weekend for a year or two. And then eventually we were able to, right now, I think we have trained more than 500 young leaders in the Philippines in different communities. Most of them are underprivileged, which means that most of them lives in communities in the mountains where there's no access to sometimes electricity or water or even internet. Some of them are out of school youth. Some of them are also from poor families in the city. So most of the time what we do is just we try to visit the community for like we called it like a field visit. We tried to talk to the people. We tried to talk to the local leaders. We tried to talk to the young people. Would they be interested for a workshop? And most of them, they are. And then we go back to where we do the training, and then we go back again. So sometimes it takes 4 or 5 visits to one community, and we do it every weekend. And during the week, we go to school. So it was really tiring, but it was also really fun. This is also one of the communities that we visited in the Philippines. It was really, really, really far. I remember because I think there was like a really strong rain. We had to hike like 5 hours just to go to that community. And they were very, very welcoming as well. Like I remember during this day, it was my birthday, and it rained so hard that we got trapped in the community, so we had to sleep there and together with our volunteers. So I celebrated my birthday with the kids, and we shared the small cake, and they prepared some local delicacies that they cooked for me as well. So it was very I think it was really fun. I would say it was also really a learning experience for me. I just wanted to share, these are some of the, most of them are, these are some of the participants that we have for the project. Some of them are 17, 16, 15, 14, but most of the time we also work with 13 to 17 years old. This is one of the projects that we made. A lot of people will ask, where do you get your money from? Because we're just a youth organization in the university back in the day. What we do is we organize events. For TEDx, it was free, but we got some sponsors to organize that. At the same time, we also organized this like festival of ideas, and people pay like as little as €5, $5 for a ticket. And then for an event of like poetry, singing, and then 100% of our profit goes back to the community. We also partner with different NGOs. We also got grants from UNESCO, for example. Right now, after, like, aside from doing the workshops with the youth, we have built libraries in some communities. We have also built a small like daycare center in one of the mountain communities. So children like 2 or 3 years old doesn't have to walk to 1 hour, 2 hours to go to their daycare. So we also built one for that. And at the same time, Catalyst also gave me an opportunity to represent the organization in different events. Like I've attended events in the World Bank in the US. I've attended UNESCO events in different locations. I've also attended the WEF event in ASEAN, where I got to speak about the work that I'm doing and meet people, different people from different backgrounds. So it was an amazing experience. And I think everyone here is familiar of how amazing ideas are being shared in the WEF forum. And I think one of the things that I wanted to share about what I learned doing Catalyst, I don't want to say that we're doing like I really don't want to brand as an organization that helps the youth, because I think they're capable of doing that. And at the same time, I don't want to romanticize how hard it is for a youth organization to start these things. And a lot of people say that, you know, you can get success if you work hard enough, if you have big dreams, if you know your goals. But at the same time, it's not true for a lot of young people, because at the end of the day, privilege plays a big role. And that's what we learned when we go to these mountain communities, for example. We're actually the privileged ones because we go to the university, but these young people in far-flung communities, they have big dreams as well, but they don't have access to a lot of privileges or resources. So I think the wisdom, or like what I could say or learn, is that when you think about of success, I hope that you don't just think of success for yourself. You should also think about other people who sometimes fail, who sometimes don't have as much privilege as you and as much resources as you. Because I really think that young people has so much power, potential, and energy to change the world. But at the same time, I hope they don't change the world for themselves only, but also for other people around the world. So that's my story. I hope I didn't go over time.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation, Katrina, and thank you very much for giving us some insight in your organization. Maybe you publish the web page if you have one on the chat, so we can just have a look at there or later on. Actually, you are not the first participant here from the Philippines, and I just had to Google San Jose. Is it in Mindoro in the Philippines? Is that correct?
Our town is in San Jose in Antique. So
in Antique.
It's actually, yeah, Antique.
Is in the island where Iloilo is?
Yeah.
Well, you know, we had two presenters from Iloilo.
Oh.
One was Aaron. I forgot his last name. Maybe because someone can help you of the community today. And we had he was actually psychologist who really wants to have an organization, like it's like telemedicine organization. He wants to plan it. And the other one, and he did other things that just his plan. And the other one is Jesus Ensilada, which is what has been nominated Teacher of the Year worldwide 2 years ago, also from Iloilo. So I think it's obviously quite a famous island on this archipelago of the Philippines, where three of, by the way, Aaron was also a global
shaper.
Global shaper, maybe you got to, maybe you know him or you got to know him. Yeah. So the community is big, and obviously we have a lot of interest. It's a small world, and thank you very much for sharing your insight about your organization. Any of the teenagers has a question to direct to Katrina?
Why didn't you like engineering as a major?
I think when I took it, I went to a high school. It's called Philippine Science High School, where it's really focused on STEM. So it's a boarding school. So we stayed inside the school, and all of your years we really started early on robotics, on quantum mechanics, on some aspects of engineering. And a lot of our teachers and the school itself expects us to be an engineer or a doctor or a scientist. And that was also my expectation for myself as well as my parents. But when I went to school, I think it was just, it didn't really resonate with me. Like a lot of people really liked engineering. And for me, I have no problem with that. I love science as well. I worked for a startup before I went to grad school, and while I was also doing Catalyst. And a lot of my friends are also into technology or engineering. But I think like with me, I think I know what my passion is now, and that's development work. And it took me years of experience and works of meeting people, going out in the field to really think that I'm in love with it. And I could really say now that I'm in love with development works. That's why I'm also taking anthropology and development now. But there's nothing wrong with engineering, but it's just that it's not for me. And I don't know why, actually. It just really, I don't know. It didn't really connect with me. And yeah.
Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. If there are no other questions, I think we're already a bit over time, and